Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome to Front and Center as we focus developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be front and center. You can watch this program live on our Facebook page, Radyo Pilipinas World Service, and you can catch up this episode later in the evening through our YouTube channel, and you can hear us live on our audio streaming at eBox PBS Receiver app. So join us for another edition of Front and Center with your host, Jerome Toledo.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Well, in time for Christmas celebration, President Marcos Jr. has advised all government agencies to keep their Christmas and New Year celebrations simple and meaningful. So that's in sympathy with Filipinos still recovering from recent catastrophes. So that's a typhoon that happened in Cebu. And also earlier, a month ago, magnitude 6.9 earthquake that struck the same province of Cebu. Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro said Wednesday that the reminder issued in collaboration with the Department of Budget and Management intended to promote empathy and restraint as the country approaches the holiday season. She said the advisory reflects the administration's compassion for communities affected by a series of natural disasters, including recent earthquakes in the Visayas and Mindanao, as well as typhoons that wreak havoc throughout numerous provinces. Provinces that were devastated by the recent Typhoon Tino. So that's in Cebu, as well as in southern Leyte, in Negros Occidental, in Iloilo, in Panay Islands. And recently, Palawan got hit by this tropical storm. And that reminder coming from the president comes as the Typhoon Tino, or with the international name Kalmegi, the 20th tropical cyclone of the year here in the Philippines, has slammed Visayas and Mindanao, causing flooding and displacing thousands of families. And as far as I can recall, last year there was a series of typhoons that ravaged the country. So that's 4 storms that paraded or came into our country. So that's 4 storms, and it lasted around by late October. So a lot of provinces were affected by the flooding in that area. So this call coming from the president is very timely as we reflect on what happened in those provinces that were hit by the recent floods. And as far as we heard, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will visit Cebu again. That's for tomorrow, to inspect the areas that was hit by the flooding, and at the same time, it's going to be areas affected by the earthquake. So, unfortunately, the Cebu province got hit by calamities, which is an earthquake and typhoon. So that's a good timing that the president will return there in Cebu to inspect the areas hit by the tropical or the Typhoon Tino. And meanwhile, in security aspect regarding this calamity brought by Typhoon Tino, the Philippine National Police said on Wednesday through its acting chief, Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates, directed all affected police officers and units to intensify search and rescue operations and ensure the speedy as well as secure distribution of essential relief goods for families and individuals displaced by Typhoon Tino. In a statement, Acting General Nartates said the order was part of the PNP's multi-pronged response that prioritizes the immediate needs of the public in line with the directive of President Marcos Jr. to the police force to extend all forms of assistance to those affected by the typhoon. And Acting General Nartates further said that more than 9,000 police personnel and over 300 mobiles were deployed for evacuation, rescue operations, and other humanitarian assistance as Typhoon Tino devastated parts of the country. And he directed the local police officers to conduct an internal assessment to determine the operational impact of the storm on the police force itself. So although our police force can assist our kababayans who have been affected by the storm, by the flooding, our police force, families of the police officers and police force are not spared by this typhoon calamities. And PNP reported that a total of 66 personnel were affected by the typhoon, including 60 uniformed officers and 6 non-uniformed personnel, while 8 police stations were damaged. So we mentioned earlier that even police officers and even police stations were not spared by this typhoon. So it's quite critical for the police force to help our kababayans and at the same time help their respected families to cope with this calamity brought by this typhoon Tino that was ravaging or has ravaged the Visayas region. And PNP spokesperson and information chief Brigadier General Randolph Tuaño said the coordination continues with various government agencies for an effective and unified response. So it's not just about meaning to say there is a whole of government approach regarding this response from the government. So it's a PNP, AFP, BFP, as well as the DSWD and DPWH. It's all a government effort to respond to this typhoon calamity that hit the central Philippines. And also, the Philippine Army said its rescue units are already on the ground assisting communities hit by Typhoon Tino and supporting other government agencies and disaster response mission. In a statement, the Philippine Army spokesperson Colonel Louis de Maala said the Army teams have helped evacuate around 130,000 people. That's a lot of people that needs to be evacuated and move to safe places. So that's in cooperation with government and volunteer responders across the Visayas. Army personnel in Mandaue City, together with local government responders, were able to rescue 48 individuals from severely flooded villages. And one or more than 1,000 Army troops are deployed in Western Visayas as well as in Central and Eastern Visayas and Northern Mindanao to assist in various disaster response operation. And at the same time, the active auxiliaries of the CAFGU members and reservists remain on standby. So that's around 5,400 soldiers coming from that unit. They are on standby to augment humanitarian assistance and disaster response or HADR operations across the country. And Colonel De Maala said the Philippine Army responders across the country remain on high alert as another tropical depression is expected to enter the Philippine area of responsibility on Friday. And as the OST Pag-asa said, that storm, which will be named U1, when that storm enters the country, will hit northern or central Luzon by either Sunday evening or by Monday morning. So Colonel De Maala said its army unit will remain on high alert. So as another tropical depression may enter the Philippine area of responsibility. So that's going to be over the weekend. So The potential cyclone will be named O1 once it enters PAR, according to the Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration. So it's not yet over for the Philippine or the armed forces of the Philippines rather, and also the PNP or the Philippine National Police. So they are still on high alert to assess our fellow countrymen in preparing for the oncoming typhoon Uwan that may hit this weekend. And also, in some developments related to the onslaught or the post-onslaught of Typhoon Tino, the Malacanang said there is a need to review the implementation of more than 500 flood control projects in Cebu to ensure their effectiveness and the proper use of government funds. Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro said that from 2016 to 2022 alone, around 343 flood control projects were implemented, with 2 of them being terminated. So in context, Cebu Province Governor Pamela Baricuatro lamented that there was a lot of flood control projects in the province that's amounting to 26 billion pesos, but still they feel or they still experience massive flooding there as the Typhoon Tino hit or ravaged or inundated the Cebu province, particularly in the cities of Talisay and Cebu City. And Yusek Castro noted that under Marcos' administration, there are around 168 flood mitigation projects, with 55 still ongoing. She said that the flood control projects implemented under the Duterte administration should have been working by now. And Yusek Castro said the palace welcomes any data or information related to the flood control projects that Governor Baricuatro may provide. So as we mentioned earlier, 26 billion was allocated in the Cebu province for flood control initiatives, but at the same time, they experienced extreme flash floods. So that's what Governor Baricuatro lamented there. So and also, Yusek Castro said upon learning upon the call out of the governor of Cebu, President Yusek Castro said that President Marcos Jr. Shared the same feelings of what Governor Baricuatro she might feel, so, or she is feeling. So President Marcos Jr. will implement or will launch an investigation regarding that claim by Cebu Governor Pamela Baricuatro. And when we return here on Front and Center, so we will talk about the recent survey that was released by the Octa Research, because on the third quarter Tugon ng Masa survey, two top government officials, namely President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. and Vice President Sara Duterte, receive less trust from the public. So how this is an interesting survey, because these two top officials received the less trust from the Filipinos, and we will know some insights regarding this interesting shift in public opinion. We'll explore that in the program later with the fellow from Octa Research when Front and Center returns here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Mas pinadali na ang government transactions sa tulong ng eGovPH Super App. Pwedeng-pwede mo nang magawa ang lahat ng ito. I-download ang eGov app sa iyong smartphone o tablet mula sa App Store o Google Play Store. Pagkatapos, ilagay ang iyong mobile number at i-authenticate gamit ang one-time PIN o OTP para marehistro ang iyong account. Saka ilagay ang iyong mga pangunahing impormasyon at kumpletuhin ang facial recognition technology para sa verifikasyon ng iyong pagkakakilanlan. Para sa mas mabilis at mas maayos na serbisyong panggobyerno, gamitin na ang eGovPH Super App.
Magandang araw, si Dingdong Dantes po ito. Dahil taon-taon tayong binibisita ng bagyo, kailangang handa tayong harapin ito. Naalala ko si Mami, meron siyang isang envelope kung saan nakatago ang mga importanteng dokumento para madaling kunin at dalhin kapag may bagyo. Ang misis ko naman, may nakahanda palaging emergency go bag na may lamang damit, gamot, pagkain, tubig at pera na kasya hanggang 3 araw sakaling kailanganin namin pumunta sa evacuation center. At syempre, ang toka ko, bago pa dumating ang bagyo, sinisilip ko na kung may mga butas ba yung bubong o ang ibang parte ng bahay na kailangang i-repair. Nakamonitor din ako sa updates ng pag-asa tungkol sa bagyo. May kanya-kanyang responsibilidad sa bahay para sure na ligtas ang buhay. Dahil #panatag ang may alam.
Maging panatag Pilipinas.
Itinuloy na po natin ang zero balance billing. Libre po. Ibig sabihin, ang serbisyo sa basic accommodation sa ating mga DOH na ospital, wala nang babayaran ang pasyente.
Po, ang dami pong challenge, hindi po namin alam kung saan namin kukunin, ganon, nag-iisip kung paano namin mababayaran. Siyempre po, masayang masaya, super saya po dahil na zero billing po kami. Opo, malaking ano po talaga, malaking tulong po. Mabilis lang din po.
Bayad na ang bill ninyo. Uulitin ko, wala nang kailangan bayaran ng pasyente basta sa DOH Hospital dahil bayad na po ang bill ninyo.
Naiiyak ako kasi sobrang saya. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President Bongbong Marcos Jr. Hindi kami nagkamali ng taong ihinalal.
Plano mo rin bang magkaroon ng sariling bahay soon? Uy, yan ang life goals. At sa pagpili ng lokasyon ng iyong dream house, siguraduhin nyo naman na safe ka from landslide. So here are some tips. Kung maiiwasan, huwag magtayo ng bahay sa matatarik na lugar. Iwasan din ang mga lugar na may malalambot na lupa at basag-basag na bato. Lalo na kung may history ng pagguho tulad ng mud flow at rockfall. Huwag ring magtayo ng bahay sa paanan ng bundok o burol dahil posible itong bagsakan ng landslide materials. Delikado. Dahil major milestone sa buhay ang pagkakaroon ng sariling bahay, siguraduhin nating safe naman ito sa landslide, hindi ba? #panatag ang may alam.
Maging panatag Pilipinas.
Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome back to Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Still with me, Jerome Toledo. And while we wait for for our guest for today regarding the tugon ng masa survey that was released by Octa Research, saying that the President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Vice President Sara Duterte has received less trust from Filipinos. In the meantime, we'll talk about the government response regarding the regarding the Typhoon Tino. As Typhoon Tino severely impacts the communities along its path, the Department of Energy is actively working with all energy sector stakeholders to maintain the stability of nation's power and fuel systems. Through continuous monitoring and close coordination between power generations, downstream oil and transmission and distribution entities, the Energy Department ensures that essential services are prioritized and that restoration resources are readily available for swift deployment when necessary. Despite the weather that experienced in the past few days, DOE reported that the country's overall power supply remains sufficient, with the Luzon and Visayas and Mindanao grids as well continuing its normal operation. However, precautionary shutdowns and localized interruptions have been recorded. And And as we check here on the latest, 1.4 million households are still don't have power after the onslaught of Typhoon Tino. And that number, still according to the Energy Department, that number of affected connections could be equivalent to approximately 7 million residents. So that's 1.4 million households. So that's equivalent to 7 million residents who are still reeling from power interruptions due to the onslaught of Typhoon Tino. And Energy Department, through its spokesperson Fuentebella, said power restoration efforts are underway for the affected households in Central Visayas, particularly in Cebu. But improvements, they will conduct power restoration activities if the weather becomes good. So they will conduct power restoration activities in the flood hit areas. And Energy Secretary Sharon Green, meanwhile, understand that's a big task of restoring the power supply. So we mentioned earlier about the 1.4 million households still out of power or experiencing power interruption. So it's a big task for the Energy Department to restore it, and they assured that the Energy Department is working double time together with power utility companies, and they're working around the clock and on the ground to ensure the restoration, that the power will be restored as soon as possible. And as from the data coming from the National Electrification Administration, it showed that a total of 53 electric cooperatives in the region or in the nation were affected by Typhoon Tino. So the electric cooperatives affected are located mainly in Central Visayas, in Western Visayas, as well as in Eastern Visayas, in Northern Mindanao, and some parts of the Calabarzon region in Luzon, and also in Bicol region as well. And out of 53 affected electric cooperatives, 17 are already under normal operations, while 24 electric cooperatives are still experiencing power interruptions, and 9 are still don't have total power at all. So as said by the Energy Department, they are working around the clock and on the ground to restore the power supply in those region. Now, I think we don't have Octa research as of the moment, but anyway, we will try to discuss this in a few minutes regarding the trust rating that was received by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. as the trust rating of the chief executive plunged to 57%. So that's 7 points down from July 2025, or that's the second quarter. Meanwhile, the performance rating of the president plunged down too by 8% from second quarter. So that's now at 54%, while the distrust rating peaked at 25% and the undecided at 17%. So as for the regional trend, Marcos Jr. or President Marcos Jr. Received highest trust rating in Balanced Luzon, so that's at 67%. Meanwhile, Marcos Jr. received lowest trust rating in Mindanao, where Vice President Sara Duterte's bailiwick is located there. So by class, the trust is highest among Class A, B, and C. So that's at 64% and also in Class D at 57%, and in Class E at 58%. And the performance was registered in Balanced Luzon, that's at 64%. Meanwhile, its lowest at Mindanao at 41%. So now let's proceed to the trust rating of Vice President Sara Duterte, as her trust rating plunged down by 3 points from second quarter. So now her trust rating stands at 51%. Meanwhile, her performance rating plunged or was reduced by a point from second quarter. So now it's at 49%. And also the distrust recorded at 24%, while the undecided recorded at 26%. Meanwhile, its regional trend, she received the highest trust rating in Mindanao, so that's a whopping 84%. And meanwhile, she got the lowest trust rating in the National Capital Region at 30%. Meanwhile, her performance was recorded too in Mindanao at 80%, so that's a good number, 80%. And she got the lowest also in NCR at 29%. By class, Vice President Duterte trust was recorded among Class E at 64%. Meanwhile, she got the lowest trust, or I'm sorry, the trust rating and performance rating in Class A, B, and C at 31%. So, meaning to say, both top officials experienced decline in trust and performance ratings compared to the previous quarter. So, regardless if it's a 7%, a 5%, or 2%, or 1%, it's still a decline in trust and performance rating as compared to the second quarter. Despite the decrease, still, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. Remains the most trusted leader of our country, as he enjoys the more than 50% trust rating. That's what he received in the latest quarter. Meanwhile, Vice President Sara Duterte trust remain at the majority level as well, but her performance rating fell just below 50%. So the declines were more pronounced in Visayas and also in National Capital Region, so that's in urban areas. And Mindanao, meanwhile, the Vice President's a stronghold, but even there, her trust rating dropped by 11 points. And that survey, which is a stratified random sampling, was done across the NCR, or the National Capital Region, the Balanced Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And the interview is equally distributed between male and female respondents. And that survey from Okta Research is a non-commissioned and independent. So my question is, how can these two leaders sustain or be able to catch up with the decline with the trust rating? So what can they do to restore the trust, and how can they perform more to achieve high, or so that it will reflect their next survey rating? So that's we're going to watch out in the next few more days or few more weeks here in the Philippines. And with that, we now conclude this edition of Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service, together with our technical team headed by Mr. Milo Junella, as well as on our Wirecast, Hiro Lucero, and our interns from Technological Institute of the Philippines, Will and Greg. This is your host, Jerome Toledo. Until next time, mabuhay.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.